Following the Supreme Court's decision, transgender women will no longer be permitted to play women's football in England as of June 1st, the Football Association announced today. Following last month's decision that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act mean to a biological woman and biological sex, the FA announced that it has revised its policy. Just before that decision in London on April 16th, the governing body had revised its transgender inclusion policy, which still permitted transgender women to play women's football as long as they lowered their testosterone levels. The FA now has the last say over whether to allow a trans woman to participate, taking safety and equity concerns into account. However, the FA has now taken things a step further and prohibited transgender women from playing women's sports. We recognize that this will be challenging for those who just want to play the game they love in the gender they identify with, an FA official stated. We are reaching out to the transgender women who are currently registered to inform them of the changes and how they can stay active in the game. Earlier this week, the Football Association FA, which oversees football in England, Jersey, Guernsey, and the Isle of Man, announced that it was carefully reviewing its policy. Beginning with the 2025 to 2026 season, the Scottish Football Association has also revised its rules to state that only biological females are permitted to participate in competitive female football. Some of the terminology used in the Equality Act were clarified by the Supreme Court's decision. According to the court, Section 195 of the Act, which permits athletes to be legally excluded from gender-affected sports on the basis of sex, was plainly predicated on biological sex, as opposed to certificated sex. The FA went on to say, as the national sports governing body, it is our responsibility to ensure that football is accessible to as many people as possible while adhering to the international football policy established by FIFA and UEFA and the law. This idea served as the foundation for our present policy, which permits transgender women to play women's sports and is backed by knowledgeable legal counsel. This is a complicated topic, and we have always maintained that we would evaluate and amend the policy if necessary in the event that there was a significant change in the law, science, or how grassroots football operates. We will be altering our policy in light of the Supreme Court's decision on April 16th. Beginning on June 1, 2025, transgender women will no longer be permitted to participate in women's football in England. This season, just about 20 transgender women have been able to participate in the grassroots game. Remember, this is removing guys from the women's game, tweeted Sharon Davies, a former Olympic swimmer who has spearheaded appeals from athletes calling for women's sports to be exclusively for women. How could this have been permitted? The pathetic excuses of some sports bodies, and especially the FA, have been shown to be unlawful, former FA chairman Lord Triesman told The Telegraph at the time of the verdict. Like everything else, women's sports are based on biological realities. Alternative proposals are not allowed, and the relevant bodies must immediately change and adhere to the law, or else they will undoubtedly face further legal challenges. It has been established that the England and Wales Cricket Board, ECB, is also examining its stance. Trans women are still allowed to play in the women's game up to and including Tier 3 of the domestic game and throughout recreational cricket, while being prohibited from the top 2 tiers of elite women's cricket since the beginning of this year. Our current regulations for transgender participation in recreational cricket remain in place, an ECB representative stated. These seek to maintain cricket status as an inclusive sport while implementing strategies to control inequalities, regardless of a player's gender, and guarantee their safety. As we await updated guidance from Sport England, we are currently seeking advice regarding the potential impact of the Supreme Court ruling. After receiving a report that pool was a gender-affected sport, the Ultimate Pool Group revised its rules to prohibit trans women after the verdict. The World Professional Billiards and Snooker Association, which oversees snooker worldwide, is also examining its rules. It follows last month's Supreme Court ruling that the terms woman and sex in the Equality Act pertain to a biological woman and biological sex, respectively. According to one interpretation of the verdict, transgender people, who identify as women but are biologically male, may be denied access to women-only areas such as restrooms and dressing rooms. The justices ruled that the potentially vulnerable group is not disadvantaged by this reading of the law, and that trans people are nonetheless protected from discrimination under equalities legislation.